Hello everyone, I'm Derek. Welcome to There Will Be Cars. If you're not familiar with my channel, I review new vehicles that manufacturers send me and I bring you my driving impressions. So there will be trucks, there will be SUVs, and of course, there will be cars. This week I've been testing out the 2022 Lexus UX 250H. Now that little letter at the end, that H, makes a big difference because for 2022, the UX lineup is hybrid only. When I knew the UX was coming in, I thought, how am I going to review this? The week before, I was in the Lexus LX 600, and it was clear to me the UX is not an off-roader. It's definitely not a performance vehicle like the Supra, so I was kind of at a loss of how to review it. But then I thought the UX is a small hybrid, and that got me thinking, well, I do a lot of commuting, and a small fuel-efficient vehicle is supposed to be great for that. So then it came to me, why don't I test the UX and see what kind of a commuter car it is? And that's what I've been doing. Now my tester is not a bare bones model by any means. This is the UX 250H luxury model. So it comes with some nice creature comforts that make my long drives a little more pleasant. My daily commute is about 94 miles total. That's given me plenty of time and opportunities to find out what kind of strengths and weaknesses the UX 250 has as a commuter car. One thing my tester has going for it is it's very distinctive. That's because it has this Grecian water paint job. So let's just say it's easy to spot in a parking lot. And of course there's the engine. That definitely has made my UX 250H a good commuter car. Altogether, the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, the electric motor, the battery pack, total system output is 181 horsepower. But that's not the number that I've been really paying attention to. It's the fuel economy. According to the EPA, that is good for 41 miles per gallon in the city, 38 miles per gallon on the highway, and 39 combined. Those look good on paper, and they're even better at the pump considering how expensive gas has been. Even better news is the fact that this uses regular unleaded. As Lexus's smallest crossover, the UX has easy to manage dimensions, which come in especially handy in places like drive-thrus. I go to a coffee shop near the house that often requires me to take a really tight right turn from the way that I come in to get into the drive-thru lane, and this handles it with no problem. One small downside to commuting in the UX is the door handles. Now this does have keyless entry, which is great, but I do wish they put the sensors that they have in the front door handle here in the back door handles. I don't know about all of you, but in the morning when I'm ready to go to the office, I have the key in my pocket, and then I usually just reach out to unlock the door. Now I can do that with the driver's door, that's not a problem, but I can't do that with the rear passenger door. So I have to go up front here, touch the door handle, unlock it, then go back to the passenger door, open it, and throw my stuff in. It's a little thing, but that change would make this even more convenient as a commuter car. Inside, I have auto folding mirrors that make the UX a little bit smaller in parking spaces. And easy to read, well laid out gauges. I've got that center display there, as well as some analog gauges on the right and an adjustable display on the left. And up top, I have a head-up display that shows me a variety of different readouts. I like the size of the 10.3-inch center display, but it is not a touchscreen. It's a display only, so that's kind of a problem. If there's something that I want to adjust on the fly, I have to use this trackpad. This isn't the hardest thing in the world to use, but I don't like the idea of looking at something and then reaching down to touch something else to adjust what I'm looking at. It's just not very intuitive, and to me, it would be quicker and safer if there was something I wanted to adjust on the screen. I'm looking at it, I'm touching it to change it all in the same place. These HVAC controls could be a little nicer. They're just basic black plastic, but they're well laid out and easy to adjust on the fly. The standard sound system in here is fine, but it's no Mark Levinson by any means. In fact, you cannot get the UX with a Mark Levinson sound system, so that's a downer. I've gotten a lot of use out of the automatic climate controls for the front seats. It's not completely necessary because hitting the button is not a big problem, but I like the fact that it takes care of it for me as soon as I get in the car. Then this wireless charger is great to have on the go because my phone is getting older, so that means I need to charge it more often. So I can do that as I drive, and my phone is right in front of me, so I don't have to worry about forgetting it in the car because it's out of sight. This brake auto hold feature is definitely convenient. What I like about this one is that when you have it engaged, it doesn't hold the brake when you have the car in reverse. Now that might sound inconvenient, but I happen to like it that way. Another issue I have with the UX as far as commuting in it is the audio and infotainment controls. Now I have to say, this is a pretty cool setup here because it's tailored to the shape of my right hand. So I like that. It shows that Lexus was thinking of something different, but to me, nothing is better than traditional volume and tuning knobs. Just like the audio and infotainment controls, the center console lid is driver-centric because it's hinged on the right here, and I've got the release close to me here. Inside, there's a decent amount of space and a couple of charging options right there. Good morning, everyone. Driving into the office today usually takes about an hour, so I figure I would just tell you my life story from the beginning. It all started, and just kidding. I'm going to show you on the road what makes the UX a nice commuter. And I'm going to start with a place in the neighborhood. It's right in front of this place where people go hiking, and it's this narrow strip of parking spaces. And to get into it, it's a pretty tight fit. Let's go right in, whip to the left, in and out. It's got nice dimensions. It's narrow. It's got a short wheelbase, so I don't have to be super cautious about where the extremities of the vehicle are because they're all pretty close to me. Of course, I have the auto brake hold feature on right now, which is great. I don't have to keep my foot on the brake at stoplights or stop signs. Pretty soon here, I'm going to have a chance to show you what the acceleration is like from a stop. I just have the car in normal mode right now, so you'll get a baseline idea of what this drives like. Here we go. Now, as I told you all earlier, total system output for this car is under 200 horsepower, but given its size and the way it accelerates, I'd say that's a good amount for this. It's definitely not going to set any land speed records, but it also doesn't feel tired or like a dog, you know? I don't find myself thinking that this should have an extra 20 or 30 horsepower. It's fine for what it is. One thing that does drive me nuts about this is the sun visor. So, swing it out. It does telescope, but just a little bit. This space right here is brutal on the way home, especially when the sun is intense. Right now it's not too bad, but when it's really beating down, my face is just getting blasted with sun. So I do wish this telescoped out a little further. Ride quality is on the sportier side of comfort. It's a little stiff. That doesn't mean this has a sport-tuned suspension or anything like that. It's just not the cushiest suspension I've ever experienced. After a while, 50 miles each way can kind of wear on you, so you want things to be as serene and comfortable and as peaceful as possible around you. And overall, I get that out of this. You know, the ride quality is a little stiffer than I was expecting, but it's pretty quiet in here. Controls are easy to reach. I have the automatic climate control for the seats. I don't have to worry about being tethered to the gas pump. As of right now, at least according to the onboard gauge, over the course of 368.6 miles, I've averaged 38.4 miles per gallon. Of course, there are drawbacks. The center display is just that. It's a display. It's not a touch screen. And if I want to change anything up there, I have to use this trackpad down here, which is not the best thing to do when you're tooling along at highway speeds. Like a lot of vehicles these days, the UX has adaptive cruise control. So I'm going to set that right now. Of course, you can adjust the gap. There's 3 distance settings. And I'm going to be on this highway for a while, so I can get some use out of this. I also turned on the lane keeping function, so that'll input steering corrections to keep me between the lines. I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of it because it constantly seems to be working. It never seems to follow the line that I would follow, which I understand because it can't read my mind, but I just don't like feeling the steering corrections constantly. One way in which the UX's dimensions work against it is the view out of the back. The rear glass is already short, and then when you add in the rear headrests being in the way, you don't have the best view out of the back. I don't know about y'all, but every now and then I just like to rest my elbow on the driver's door sill while I'm driving. It just feels a little more relaxed. The problem with the UX is that the driver's door sill is just a little too high. It just doesn't feel natural. I feel it in my shoulder and I feel it in my elbow. So I'm just gonna go back to driving like this. Power is not an issue for the UX. It's got just the right amount for a car of its size. I can't say the engine sounds strained or overworked, but what I can say is that when you really get into the throttle, it sounds as if it's delivering its power under protest, as if it doesn't really want to do it. So there you have it, everyone. The pros and cons of commuting in the 2022 Lexus UX 250h Luxury. It's definitely not a perfect vehicle. It does have its functional compromises in certain areas, but there is a lot to like and a lot to appreciate about it, especially when you have a long trip to the office like I do. Speaking of the office, I'm almost there, so I'm going to sign off right now, and thank you all for watching my review of the UX. If you liked what you saw, you know what to do. Please go ahead and click the like button. And if you're not a subscriber to There Will Be Cars already, please go ahead and become one. I have a lot more reviews coming to There Will Be Cars. In fact, next on the list is the 2022 Toyota Supra. So I hope you're here to see it.